All right, guys, in today's video, we're talking about a key move with your driver that can really make or break your swing. And Mr. JT Thomas with us here, we were talking a little bit before, and I like the way you said, hey, there's really two phases of the swing that can make or break the driver pattern. And for all the people watching, we all want the same thing out of driver, right? We want to hit the ball as far as we can with like a normal swing and high and straight.
Exactly.
We want distance, we want accuracy. And so to be able to get those, you were saying there's these two phases that can really make or break it. What are those two, JT?
Yeah, so the two phases would be very early on in the backswing. So essentially from where the club is at address to where the club is parallel to the ground.
Okay.
So that would be an early phase that's really important.
Yep.
And then the second phase is what we're doing kind of in transition, early downswing.
Got it.
Or kind of late backswing into transition. So those are kind of the two most important pieces. If we're not doing the right stuff there, we're going to run into some issues. Yeah.
And I know we were looking at a Rory, right, for today's video as sort of a model. We'll put him on the screen here of what would be optimal. Now listen, are you going to swing just like Rory McIlroy and hit at 330? Probably not, but it serves as a model. We can use moves that he does. And if you're way over here and he's here, we're just trying to bridge the gap a little bit.
Yeah.
So let's talk about the good version first, I think, for the first half.
Yep.
And then we'll go through some of the bad ones. I know that we spoke, and it's really important that we have those two keys of the early ribcage rotation with the arms in front.
Yeah, absolutely. So this early part of the swing is so important to make sure that we're getting some trunk rotation or rotating our ribs, rotating your chest, rotating your belly button, all cues you could give yourself while we're keeping the arms in front of that turn or in front of that pivot. So a big or really easy drill way to understand this is taking the club, putting it right in between your belly button and your sternum, taking your hands, putting them, your right hand completely straight on the shaft, your lead hand kind of right in front of the shaft there.
Okay.
And the goal of this is just to learn to get that ribcage rotation while keeping your arms kind of right in front of that.
Okay.
So you notice what would happen is if I do this here and I do this wrong, I turn, and then I start yanking these arms too far in.
Okay.
Or some people keep them out too in front. That's pretty rare, but either one of those is going to mess up how you load later on in the swing.
And we were saying with that drill, let me hop in there because I want to try that. I haven't done that in a while, and I remember how much I like this.
Yep.
So you do
right arm completely straight.
Okay. Yep. And that the right arm holds the club.
Yes, right arm holds the club.
And this
arm's
in front.
Yeah, maybe a couple inches out in front. Yep.
Okay. And so my goal is to turn the club, move the club with my body.
Yes.
But my arm doesn't.
Yes, doesn't load into it. Yep.
So I'm going here.
Yeah, exactly.
And that's giving me a feel of that like rib cage rotation.
Yep.
Okay. And
rib cage rotation, and those arms are kind of in front of the pivot. And that's really important we'll get into phase two, but really important to be able to get to phase two properly. So
that's kind of the Rory, like looking like this.
Yes, exactly.
And I want to touch on some of the width stuff as we go, but I think this drill, like if you do this and feel what that feels like, there's really two different options that are really bad.
Yeah, exactly.
The golfer who would hit the ball the shortest, the lowest, and probably the most pull fade from here.
Yeah.
We have two elements.
Yep.
We have body turn and we have arm swing.
Yep.
And so would you agree like the worst is the golfer who has no body turn and the arms just go up and out?
Yes, for sure. Especially for driver, that's going to cause all kinds of issues.
Like where am I going?
Yeah, where am I going?
This is nothing. I got nothing in the tank.
You got nothing.
But speaking of nothing in the tank, sort of the second worst option that we see a lot, golf will be here and they're like, oh, my arms went up and out. I didn't turn it all. Let me just crush my turn, get my arms going in, and they actually go too far in and too deep, too early.
Yeah.
And like JT would say, you sort of, what do you say? The gas tank's sort of full.
Yeah, exactly. So if you think of it in a gas tank scenario, you've used up all of your gas very early on. Your tank is gone in the first foot of your swing.
Yeah, I'm gonna mess up the gas tank, but use up something.
Yes,
yeah,
use up something.
Like all of your turn and arms in, you're kind of done way early. And then what do those golfers got to go up?
They got to continue to go, and then your brain's freaking out. It's ready to go already.
Let's flip-flop in there.
Yeah.
So, okay. So we want to avoid those two options. And JT and I see that we see a lot of beginner golfers that come in with the no turn arms out. That ain't it. You're not going to hit it far and straight. But then to try and fix that, we're like they overdo the turn and arms in too early. That's also not it.
Exactly.
So we want the rib cage turn, but the arms staying in front.
Exactly. So the key really to that, guys, and another easy drill too, is just to put your arms right in front of your shoulder blades here, or right in front of your shoulders like this, and then pivot and keep them in front, right? So not going behind or this way in front of your shoulder joints. So another really easy way to do it without the club, just keep your arms right in front of your shoulder joints and turn, and bam, now we got a really nice position when the club's parallel to the ground. I can use my arms really nicely for the second half. So
okay, and so we're saying, hey, if you get that first part right, the odds of success from there are much greater. But if you get that wrong, probably some issues. Let's say the golfer does get that right. They turn and they get the arms in front. We kind of look at the Rory. We're like, all right, he's got some nice width there. He doesn't have crazy turn. He's got some turn. But then when you go from him like hip high on the way back to the top,
we see
a
lot of stuff happening, right? We see a lot of stuff with long drivers, people who hit the driver really well. And a big thing that they do is they load their arms behind them, right? So their left arm works up against the chest, the right arm pulls behind us, and we need to set up this room to allow that to happen. So this is why this phase is so important.
So we are pulling the arms around or behind us, but you're saying we can't do it right away.
No, we can't.
We're getting in a good spot. Got it. Okay.
And
so
you want
from there to the top.
And this is so important because the driver is really kind of the closest thing where we're trying to get all the energy out as much as we can. We're trying to hit it the farthest. You know, they would say, hey, if you can hit it the farthest down the fairway or down out there, that's what you try and do, right?
Sure,
that's what the statistics guys say. So we want to be doing something that produces a lot of energy and a lot of force to hit the ball as far as we want. Really, you can think of it very intuitively, you know, like we talked about before, is just this loading phase when we go back is very similar to throwing. If you're right-handed, you know that if I were to throw, I wouldn't throw very far like this. Right? My arm wouldn't stay up against my body the whole time. I couldn't hit it very far. So I need to have some pulling away and pulling against to create this to throw the ball, throw the energy of the club head as fast as we can.
Yeah, okay.
So that's how we want to make this.
Oh, that's interesting, dude, too, to let, I'm going to keep interrupting you. I'm just,
it's
this
all
is
good.
interesting.
It's good, yeah.
So like when you throw, I would never throw with no turn. I wouldn't just go like this, no body.
Yeah.
I also wouldn't just keep my arm the same spot as my body. So you're saying to that point of having both of them, I would have the body motion going and then the arms would work behind, around.
Work behind and around, and then I would throw that out at the ball.
And it's the timing of when we do that in the golf swing that's so important.
Yes, so important, and that's what makes the intuition.
Yeah.
So we don't think about them so much when we're throwing a ball, when we're doing other intuitive motions, but when we put two hands on something, we get a little bit wonky. Yeah, we get a little bit wonky.
So let's say, JT, you do the takeaway kind of first half correct.
Yeah, perfect.
Ribs rotate, arms in front. Any like feet? Is it just, hey, let me turn my chest and shoulders, whip the arms around?
Yeah, it's another way. Once you get done with the drill, like think of like a laser pointing at your belly button, always having it in front.
Yep.
Never really feeling much of your arms really up against your body at all. So like you know, those tension points, you won't feel very many, right? Because the tension shouldn't change, meaning my arm's not loading anywhere. So because my arm's not loading yet, I shouldn't really feel up against my body this way or behind me this way. I should feel like there's room, actually, if anything. I have some room between maybe my triceps and my chest so that I can then move them up against me on the way back.
Yeah.
So again, that's why it's so important of the timing of these elements.
And how do we feel the second that like into the late backswing and downswing part?
Yep, so there's a couple ways that I like to do it. One is just with, you know, if you're right-handed, really easy to feel this because you're just gonna hold the club with your right hand. You can put your left arm kind of just to your side if you want, but the goal would be, okay, now I have this really nice turn, got this going. Now my goal is to get this right arm behind me or get my elbow as far as I can behind my head.
Okay.
And with Rory, you know, the one that you guys will post, you'll see from this face on, Rory's elbow is like so far behind him.
Shoulders working way around.
Shoulders way around, right? So taking this arm and elbow and pulling it behind me is so important for me to understand and tells my brain when I need to go in the downswing. Again, this is why it's so important to understand these pieces for creating power. We need to know when to go. Yeah. If I don't know when, I can't really hit it. And if I do hit it far, it's not going straight.
Yeah.
So
and let me ask you this, when you're doing that, when we look at the Rory, because we would always see the shoulder, remember you told me this years ago, the shoulder on this side of the head.
Yes, exactly.
Now, is this, like when they do this, are they focusing on let me get the shoulder around, or is the arm going around and as a byproduct the shoulder gets there? Like,
yes,
is there a leader?
Much more of the arm.
Okay.
Just because again we have awareness in our arms and our hands. We know where these things are. and space. So I think it's much better for you guys out there to have some cues that are related to that.
With the arms, okay.
Yep.
Got
so, you know, that drill again, guys, just doing the first part right, making sure nice rib cage turn, club in front. Here, you're just gonna feel, again, really pulling that right arm behind you as much as you can. You'll feel a stretch here on that back side of your back.
Yeah.
And that's what the loading of the right arm's gonna feel like. Now what you're gonna do is take your left hand, reach up and grab it, and you're like, wow, that left arm's really across my chest too.
Yeah.
So whichever person you are, we can talk about the left one and do the same thing. The left one would be one where we grab the club with the left hand, we use the right hand as actually a puller to help us pull the arm back. So
during like the second phase.
Second phase,
okay.
Yep. So we're going here, first phase, second phase, use that arm to pull up against your body. And you should feel, again, that stretch here. And that, as soon as you start feeling that stretch, this is what makes it like go into the transition, these secret moves, is as soon as you start feeling that stretch, that's when you start changing and hitting the ball. So it's a signal for you to understand, hey, this is when I start to move as I hit the golf ball.
So many good things in there, dude. Why don't we hit one out just with some of those feels? I want to hop in there and do some of those feels as well.
Yep, so trying to keep it in front,
pull
it behind me, and then go ahead and just rip it out there.
I couldn't see it in the clouds, but it sounded darn good.
Yeah, that was pretty good.
I assume it was 300 down the middle.
Yeah, it wasn't too bad. It was all right.
So let me kind of work through a couple of these drills and feels here.
Yep.
And, you know, as we're doing this early part, if you guys are someone like me who tends to have the, like, my error would be the no rib cage rotation, arms start going early.
Yep.
And so even when I start to feel this, where I'm getting the, getting the rib cage turning, but keeping the arm in front of it, like this for me, and even getting my core going early is significantly different. And I know we were kind of talking width with that too, JT. Like as I'm doing this first move, kind of getting my hands to like hip high, I should have the club pretty darn far away from me.
Absolutely.
Without my upper body is not going massively with it.
Nope.
I'm having the rib cage rotation, but this club is pretty darn far away. I feel some space between my triceps and my torso.
Yep.
And I do feel too, for me, like that lead shoulder has kind of traveled back a little bit.
Yeah. Absolutely.
So I'm not going no turn arms up and out. I'm not going huge turn everything way in.
Yeah.
I'm trying to have some amount of the core turn with the arms in front. Yeah. I'm trying to feel the Rory. Let me give you a little. Exactly. I think your foot's sticking because there's some gum down here.
It could be.
I think that's what's going on here. JT's sticky shoes. Okay, let me feel the early part. One more time here. Core's turning, arms are in front.
Yeah.
Yeah, that felt solid. A little cutter, probably down like the right edge of the fairway there.
Yeah, but still work.
And so as I'm feeling that early, getting the core turning, getting the arms in front, I need to make sure from there to the top, from here early, in this sort of second phase of late backswing, early downswing is so important. So I'm feeling, you're saying like the right arm around, that right shoulder's working around. And in the early phase, it's like the club and my arms are getting as far away from the target as I can.
Yep.
Without some massive movement. But then would you say the second phase is like behind me, around me, kind of towards the target?
Exactly, towards the target. So that's a great way to think about it, really, is it's going to get away from you, and then it's going to start to get closer to you. Yep.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Okay, let me feel that. So I'm feeling the kind of early here in front.
Yep.
And then around me. I definitely feel that right arm, right shoulder working around to the top.
It's very intuitive if you're right-handed golfer.
And I'm really trying, like that one, I pushed that a little bit, but I hit that really, really solid.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm trying to feel that Rory too. Like when Rory goes good, you can almost see where like it is that late backswing motion into early downswing.
Yes, and that's what makes Rory swing so good in the flow that everybody wants, and how most humans have some decent flow in throwing a ball.
Yeah.
And they wonder how to get that in the swing is because Rory's getting an understanding of when he needs to start moving back the other direction. And where he gets that is from the stretch.
Okay.
Without that stretch, we have no clue, and we just start for no reason.
There's no signal to go. Just like you, so if I was like this way, my brain already knows when they go, I've got the stretch, I'm going.
Yes, we don't throw like, you know, if I were going to throw a ball, I don't throw it straight up in the air if I can actually throw, right? I know when to let it go.
Yeah,
right?
instinctively.
Instinctively. We don't know when to let it go in golf because, you know.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah, so.
Yeah, that makes perfect sense.
Yeah.
So here wide early, around. Here wide early in front of me. Around and sort of even around and like into the flow of
Yes.
of the downswing.
Exactly. Absolutely.
Okay. Let's do one more with that. I'm going to aim a little more neutral. Flowing around.
Oh yeah.
I hit all those really, really solid.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think the players who we're talking to here, and the key move really with the driver is getting things going correctly early. Just gives you so much more of a chance.
Yep.
The arms in front with the body moving.
Yep.
And then all the time, so I'm like, well, hey, I'm pretty good here, but what do I do?
Yeah. Exactly.
How do I complete that?
Exactly.
And you're really trying to work around, get the depth. Like a Rory too, you look at him at the top. Let's show him from the top of the backswing from down the line, and look at where the arms, hands, club are. It's a high tee, we'll see.
Yeah.
But he, different players have different arm heights, but for most of us to drive it the farthest, you want to get it up.
Yeah.
But you also want to get it back.
You have to get it back. Yep,
or
exactly.
around.
And so that's why it's so important to do the early part, right? Like we talked about the bad versions. If people get it too far around early, you can't get it more around late, right? So
then I'm going up and out.
Exactly. So we really want to keep that nice neutral movement early.
Late depth.
So we have the ability to get the late depth as we go around and change direction. Yeah.
Okay. One more just for good measure, Mary. Ball's teed up high. Let's say a little cutter kind of down the middle. I'm going to go late depth here again.
Oh, there we go.
That was a good one.
That's the one.
Still flying. Still flying.
Still flying.
Okay.
Okay. So good.
Thanks, dude.
Good stuff, dude. Really, really good.
JT Thomas, we'll put his link, put the link for his info down below. If you can get with him for in-person lessons, online coaching. That's helped me with my game a lot here. Obviously, you can see God knows what he's talking about. Some really cool driver stuff there. Obviously, what you need to pay attention to depends on where you're at with your game. That's why the coaching is so important.
Yep.
But hopefully that will help guide you in the right direction. Any questions, as always, leave a comment down below.